Greetings and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Sliders Review. Alright, let's address the elephant in the room. I know it's not Halloween. Alright, that's long past. But when it came to my Halloween videos, I ran out of time and I couldn't upload everything I wanted to. So that's why I'm uploading them past Halloween. But if you stop and look at it like this, at some point in time, it's gonna be Halloween time again, October. So somebody eventually will stumble upon my videos and watch it around Halloween time. So yeah, and I'm here today to talk to you about Goosebumps, Awesome Ants. And just like the title says, the ants are awesome and everything. Like, this is a very creepy, very mysterious episode. And I love the mystery behind it. You're just so engaged as to like what's happening, what's going on. And classic R.L. Stine, that twist ending just blew my mind. Because the first twist was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. I don't like that. But then the second twist happened. And I'm like, what? Like, this is just, and also it's classic Twilight Zone, man. That's what I like about R.L. Stine. He mixed horror with like, like the Twilight Zone type stuff of like a shocking reveal. And it's great, man. Like, he is truly one of the greats. So anyway, there's this boy named Dave. Him and his friend Ben are like at the ice cream shop. And I gotta say, like, whenever you're watching this episode, I'm very shocked to see Ben. Not only is he black, but he's dark skinned. That's very rare coming from like, a Goosebumps show and anything in Canada. Because in Goosebumps, like, I didn't realize this growing up until like I got much older. There are really no people of color in like Goosebumps. And if they are, they're always like the best friend and they pop in and out of episode. And Ben pops in and out of an episode. And it very rarely do you see it focus on a person of color. There are a few episodes that will do that. It's just a shocking thing to see. It's just like, it's crazy how TV was back then. This is why I like diversity in TV nowadays, because you don't get to see diversity. And then when you do see diversity in modern day television, you feel like you're being over flooded with diversity, but that's only because people were only used to seeing one kind of thing on TV and stuff. So anyway, they're at the ice cream shop and talking about some reports they have to do for class. And Dave decided, maybe he'll do it. Like, he don't know what he'll do it on, right? But then next thing you know, as they're eating the ice cream, they see ants on their food. So that gives him the idea to like, do his project on ants. Well, ants overtake the entire ice cream shop. I hate ants. Boy, do I have some ant stories. Like, my God. I think one happened just last year. I was cutting down a tree in the yard because, a storm had hit and I had to get down the rest of like the branches and the big trees and stuff. I didn't know my foot was in an ant bed. Ooh, they tore me up. I ran to my water hose. I had to do a striptease and everything. Then many years ago when I was cutting the grass as a kid, I was wearing shorts. I'll never wear shorts again when cutting the grass. In fact, I've never worn shorts. Maybe except for one time I had to really hurry up. But other than that one time, I've never worn shorts cutting the grass. I ran over an ant bed. And next thing I know, something started biting me in a very sensitive spot in my body. And I'm not even joking. Worst experience I ever had. Then I remember one time when I was a kid, there was this one girl in my neighborhood who was a lot younger than me, probably about 4. She sat down on like the curb. Ooh, ants tore her behind up. I hate ants. I hate ants. The moment I see them like an ant bed in my yard, I get rid of it. And then they just grow like another. But the only good thing about ants, is that they technically get rid of like waste deposits on like the ground. Like, when you see like food on the ground or a dead carcass or something, they're there to eat it up, them and the flies. This is why, makes you do wonder, like, is there a higher power in the universe that created life? Because what decided that, hey, there's like food and dead bodies and animal bodies and stuff on the ground, something has to get rid of it. And that something are flies, ants, and Tasmanian devils. And it's kind of like, something programmed the universe to create things like that, for things like that to happen. And it makes you wonder and stuff. Is there a higher power? But back to the goosebumps. So anyway, in comes Mr. Lantz in his ant mobile with a giant ant on top. And he's there to get rid of the ants. And so the boys don't want to go back in, but he convinces them anyways. Mr. Lantz is very odd. He talks very odd. He acts very odd. He acts very kooky in the head. And so he sniffs around like, the ice cream shop, and he punches his hand through the wall and he grabs the queen. And he said, you get rid of the queen, you get rid of the nest. Then he squeezes the queen in his hand. But this is what's weird happening. Green goo comes from his hand, lots of it. I'm just like, what the world? That's just an ant. It shouldn't have like giant green gacky like monster blood looking stuff coming out. So anyways, he tells the boys, you should bone up on ants and learn more about them and blah blah blah. And he said, if the situation was different, they could take over us and everything because of their body mass and strength and stuff like that. And so, like, because they outpopulate, like, the human population and stuff. And so he gives him a book. So there's, like, a number on the back. So he calls it so that he can do his project. And so, like, we get to meet, like, his family. His mom, my God. I did not know this at the time, and so I started looking it up online. She is the voice of Jean Grey from the 90s X-Men cartoon. And she sounds exactly the same. So she didn't even change her voice. And yes, she will come back for the Disney Plus X-Men Revival cartoon series. I hope she still sounds the same. It'll be interesting to see what she looks like now. I wonder if she have gray hair or if she dyes it. Anyway. Oh, Jean Grey, gray hair. Hey. And so, like, he ordered the ants, right? Well, they come extremely fast. Like, he literally just ordered them, and it's like rush delivery. He wasn't even expecting that. So they give him a teeny tiny box, but they said they have a bigger box out. He's very shocked and surprised, and his mom is a little pissed, talking about how we gonna afford this because what you bought is giant. It's giant. It's like 10 feet tall. And he said it's only costs like $5 and everything. What is it? A giant, like, it's kind of like a fish tank. A giant tank, and it's literally about like 10 feet in the air. They have to get a ladder just to get on top of it. And so him and Ben, they put the ants in there and they start reading the instructions. The instructions gives them these blue pellets, and the blue pellet says feed the ants only 1 pellet per day and do not overfeed. They think it's weird because they're all kind of like, well, Ben's just kind of like, this is ridiculous. Like, how is this one little thing supposed to like feed them and stuff? And so the next day, Dave is like recording with his video. Somehow, I don't know how, his video camera is able to have x-ray vision and go inside like the dirt mound and see like the nest of ants, the hive. I remember one time, there's a YouTube video. There's a dude. He takes like liquid metal and he pours it down an ant bed, and then he waits for it like to harden, and then he pulls it out. It's one of the most beautiful things ever. Sure, all the ants are dead, and that's like genocide, but it's one of the most beautiful things ever. Like, look that up. And so, like, so his sister's grossed out by the ants, and Ben comes back, and so he's feeding him one more pellet, and Ben's all like, look, man, you gotta feed these things, man. And he said, like, but the instructions literally say do not overfeed or it could cause rapid growth. And so Ben don't care. Ben just finds like a worm and he feeds them, and the ants devour that worm. And so Dave is kind of like, yeah, I guess I was starving now. So then they go in the house and they get some hot dogs and they feed the ants that. Next day, when Dave goes to check on the ants, something weird has happened. They have broke the lock on, like, the tank and stuff. So he puts a giant cinder block on there. And then when he's in the house, his mom is being attacked by ants. They're all over her house. And he's like, wow, look how big they've grown. So he starts recording it. And he he gives in his report. And then when he's doing his report, all of a sudden it's weird. Mr. Lance is there, and he shows up at the school. I'm guessing they had ants at the school and they called him. He tells Dave those are fake ants in your video because they're 3 inches long. And he says, like, the biggest an ant can get is 2 inches. And he's all like, if those things get any bigger than that, they'll literally take over the world and stuff like that. So he keeps calling Dave like a fake and all this other crap. And so Dave is pissed. So when he goes home, Dave realizes something. The cinder block has been broken in half. He doesn't understand what's going on. So he puts a giant wooden board over the door and puts another lock on there. But then as he's looking inside, he realizes something. There's like something being eaten inside the tank and the ants are eating it. So he goes in the house and he asks Mom, yo, what's for dinner? She's like, turkey. He realizes the ants went in the house, grabbed the turkey and ate it and put it back in the tank. So worried, Dave calls the place he ordered the ants from. I would too, because it's kind of like, what the world's going on? How did they lift that giant turkey? There's been like thousands of them to do it, right? And so he tells them, yo, I've been feeding these things hot dogs and stuff. And they all like, are you crazy? We told you don't overfeed them. She's like, run, kid, run. And it's like, wait, what's going on here? Why is this lady that terrified? Well, at one point, we do see the ants trying to bust out of the tank at night. And it's pretty big with the antenna and stuff. Next thing you know, Dave starts looking for people in town. Why? Because his home is being overrun by ants. Pretty big ants, the size of like a cat. So he squishes one and he runs out screaming, but everybody is like gone in like the town. And it's really interesting because like Goosebumps, when they film at night, they put like a filter over the camera so it gives the appearance of night when they're shooting in the day, but it has like a bluish black inkish feel to it. That's because of child labor laws and stuff. They did that in the second season of The Walking Dead one time because the dude who plays Carl was really young. Well, at some point they got around that and they started filming more at night. So they would stop having that bluish black like tint to it and stuff. It's weird that child labor laws, they're not allowed to film during a certain time and past nighttime. So anyway, he's running to Mr. Lance, ant like shop type thing, his extermination place. He can't find Mr. Lance. Then next thing you know, giant ants that are at least like 5 foot or big, not about 6 feet, 6-7 feet tall ants are busting through the place. And he's scared and he's like terrified. And it's like, holy crap, these ants are huge. And then one picks him up and takes him away. And then the ants look pretty good. Like they did some pretty good job on the animatronics on those ants. He's screaming and he's hollering. And then he wakes up. I'm like, oh, heck no, you gotta be kidding me. This was all a dream. So I was pissed. So he goes down in like the dining room and he's eating and he pours himself some cereal, but it's not cereal. It's blue pellets. And his sister is pissed, talking about this is more than I get in a week. And his mom tells him to put that back. So he's weirded out. And it's like, why are there blue pellets? And why are they eating blue pellets? He goes in the fridge. There are jars of blue pellets. What the world is going on? And it is the twist of twists. He goes outside because they hear like a truck horn and everything. There are mountains, tiny mountains of blue pellets everywhere, and everybody is desperately trying to get them. Ben is like tug of warring with some little kid because they stole his pellets. So he chases after the kid. And then Mr. Lance shows up, dressed all nice in a suit, and he's talking differently. He's talking proper. And Dave tell Mr. Lance that, I had the craziest dream. I dreamt that like we were the dominant species and ants were as tiny as like, a bug. And it was your job to kill them. And he's like, oh, don't let them hear you say that and everything. Because we don't want to like disturb our overlords and everything. And there you see it. A giant tank around the neighborhood with giant ants controlling everything. I could not believe this twist. It was insane to think that humans are bugs in an experimental like tank and ants control the world. And he's all like, wouldn't it be weird? Wouldn't it be different if humans control the world? And, I still am amazed by this twist. And, I have heard stories about like, if ants were to get a certain size, they would take over the world because they literally feed the queen and everything. Not only them, but cats. People have surmised that if teeny tiny house cats were to get as big as say like a lion or a tiger, oh, they will kill everybody and stuff. Like no doubt, like they will literally kill the human population because see, for now, giant cats, they're pretty much like, contained in whatever habitat they're in. But there have been many occasions where they have attacked humans. And a lot of people are baffled as to why. And I mean, one time I heard that there was like a mountain lion attacked a human, which was very rare because they said that something must have been oh no, it was a tiger. A tiger attacked the person, which is rare. And they said that tiger was losing teeth, so it's vulnerable and it can't get whatever animals it can, so it starts going after whatever it can, and that was a human. Mountain lions attack people constantly and stuff. This is why you gotta be very careful on trails and stuff. But yeah, this was just like an awesome episode. Now, wasn't that spooky? Alright, well, I shall talk to y'all later. Bye.